My parents kicked me out at 17. I slept in a storage unit with $23 to my name. They chose my brother, forgot I existed. 15 years later, they asked for closure. I came back with boundaries, and a life they no longer controlled. I pressed my back against the cold metal wall of Storage Unit 47B, clutching the thin blanket that had become my world. 17 years old, and this 10 by 10 concrete box was home. The photograph tucked in my jacket pocket crinkled against my ribs, the last family picture before everything shattered. "You're on your own now," Dad had said 3 months ago, tossing my belongings onto the front lawn. "We're done enabling your attitude." My attitude. The crime of questioning why Michael got college tuition while I got lectures about gratitude. The facility's security lights cast harsh shadows through the gap under the metal door. I'd learned to time the guards' rounds, to slip in after midnight and leave before dawn. $23 remained in my wallet, enough for maybe 4 more days of gas station sandwiches. I pulled out the photograph. 5 faces smiled back from last Christmas. Mom, Dad, Michael, me, and even Michael's new girlfriend Jenny. We looked normal, happy even. The lie burned worse than the hunger gnawing at my stomach. Tomorrow I'd try the library again. Free internet, warm building, maybe another job application. The community college brochure lay beside me, creased from folding and unfolding. 18 credit hours cost more than I'd seen in my lifetime. But I'd get there. Somehow. The metal groaned as I shifted position, and I froze, listening for footsteps. Silence. Just me and my determination in this borrowed space, planning a future they said I'd never have. I tucked the photograph away and closed my eyes, dreaming of the day I'd prove them wrong. 15 years later, I stared at my corner office windows overlooking downtown Seattle, listening to my assistant Melissa discuss the quarterly projections. My consulting firm had just landed another 7-figure contract. The scared girl in Storage Unit 47B felt like someone else's memory. "Emma?" Melissa's voice cut through my thoughts. "The podcast interview?" Right. Some family dynamics expert wanted to discuss my remarkable journey from adversity to success. I'd agreed during a moment of weakness, thinking it might help other abandoned kids. The recording equipment sat on my mahogany desk, like a small black witness. I'd requested they send it ahead rather than do this in some studio. Control mattered now. "Dr. Reynolds is on line 1, Melissa said, then quietly closed the door behind her. I picked up the phone. "Dr. Reynolds." "Ms. Chen, thank you for agreeing to this. I know discussing family trauma publicly takes courage." Courage. I almost laughed. "Where should we start? Tell me about the abandonment. Your parents, your brother. What happened that night?" The words came easier than expected. Maybe because I'd told this story to therapists, to myself, to the mirror 1,000 times. How my parents decided I was too difficult. How Michael stood silent while they packed my things. How I survived on pure spite and stolen Wi-Fi. "And your brother never reached out?" Dr. Reynolds asked. "Not once, until last month." "What changed?" I glanced at the email still open on my laptop. Subject line: "I'm sorry." From Michael. After 15 years of silence. He said he's been looking for me, that he has a daughter now, and it made him think about family differently. The recording device's red light blinked steadily, capturing every word for strangers to analyze. The coffee shop on Pine Street buzzed with Tuesday morning energy, but I only saw them. Mom and Dad, aged and smaller than memory suggested, sitting at a corner table. They'd requested this meeting through Michael. Closure, they called it. I approached slowly, my heels clicking against hardwood floors. Dad's hair had gone completely gray. Mom's hands shook slightly as she lifted her latte. "Emma." Dad stood awkwardly. "You look successful." "No thanks to you." Mom flinched. "We came to explain abandoning your 17-year-old daughter." I remained standing, handbag clutched tight. This should be interesting. You were so angry, Mom whispered. Everything we did was wrong. We thought maybe space would help you appreciate. Appreciate what? Being homeless? Sleeping in storage units? Nearly getting assaulted behind a grocery store? Dad's face went pale. We didn't know it would be that hard. You didn't care to know. The letter I'd drafted last night burned in my jacket pocket. 3 pages of everything I'd wanted to say for 15 years, distilled into legal language. Boundaries, consequences, the restraining order Marcus had prepared as backup. We've changed, Mom said desperately. We go to therapy now. We understand we made mistakes. Mistakes? My voice carried across the coffee shop. You threw away your daughter like garbage. That's not a mistake. That's a choice. Emma, please. Dad reached toward me. I stepped back. Don't. You lost the right to touch me the day you put my belongings on the curb. The letter felt heavier in my pocket. I could end this right now, hand it over, walk away forever. Or I could try something different. Something that acknowledged the damage without perpetuating it. I'll give you one chance, I said quietly. Real accountability. Real change. Real consequences. But this conversation, it's over. Marcus spread the restraining order documents across his conference table like evidence in a trial. Are you certain about this approach, Emma? It's aggressive. I picked up my phone and scrolled through 17 missed calls from my parents. Voicemails ranged from apologetic to demanding to downright hostile. The coffee shop conversation had apparently triggered something desperate. Listen to this, I said, hitting speakerphone on the latest message. Mom's voice filled the room, sharp and familiar. Emma, you're being ridiculous. We're your parents. You can't just cut us off because you're having some emotional crisis. Call us back immediately. Marcus winced. Same patterns? Exactly. No accountability, just demands for compliance. I ended the playback. They showed up at my office yesterday. Security had to escort them out. The temporary restraining order will buy us time, Marcus said, sliding papers toward me. But Emma, this affects Michael too. If they're banned from contacting you, family gatherings become complicated. My phone buzzed. Text from Michael. Can we talk? Jenny wants to meet you. Lily asks about her Aunt Emma. I stared at the message. Michael's 4-year-old daughter knew about me. Despite everything, he'd kept my existence alive in his new family. What if Michael chooses them over me? I asked. Then you'll know where you stand, Marcus said gently. But from what you've told me, he's been trying to reconnect for months. That suggests his priorities have shifted. I signed the papers with steady hands. The legal system would enforce what my family never could, respect for my boundaries. One more thing, I said. I want to meet Jenny and Lily. Neutral location. If Michael's serious about rebuilding our relationship, they're part of that equation. Marcus nodded. I'll have my assistant coordinate through his attorney. Keep everything documented. The phone rang again. I glanced at the screen, Dad's number, and declined the call. Some conversations required legal protection first. Michael sat across from me at the Children's Museum Cafe, his daughter Lily coloring intently beside him, while Jenny watched us both with careful eyes. The restraining order had been served 3 days ago. Our parents had responded predictably, with fury directed at Michael for choosing sides. They've called me 30 times, Michael said quietly. Mom's threatening to cut us off financially if I keep seeing you. Lily looked up from her drawing. Daddy, is this my Aunt Emma? Yes, sweetheart, Michael said, his voice catching slightly. She's pretty, Lily announced, then returned to her crayons. Jenny leaned forward. Emma, I need you to understand something. Michael talks about you constantly. He's carried guilt about that night for 15 years. When Lily was born, he started having panic attacks about failing her the way he failed you. I studied my brother's face, seeing the boy who'd stood silent while our parents destroyed my life, but also seeing the father who'd named me to his daughter, who'd kept my memory alive despite the cost. "Why didn't you contact me sooner?" I asked. "Cowardice," Michael said simply. "And I didn't know how to find you until the podcast. When I heard your voice." He pulled out his phone and showed me the photograph from that last Christmas, the same one I'd carried in storage unit 47B. "I've kept this in my wallet for 15 years. Daddy cries when he looks at that picture," Lily said matter-of-factly. Jenny touched Michael's hand. "We've talked about this extensively. Whatever happens with your parents, we want you in our lives, in Lily's life." "They'll make you choose," I warned. "I already have," Michael said. "The day Lily was born, I chose her future over their approval. That includes having her Aunt Emma in her world." Lily held up her drawing, stick figures labeled Daddy, Mommy, Lily, and Aunt Emma under a rainbow. "Can you come to my birthday party?" she asked. I looked at the drawing, then at Michael's hopeful face, then at Jenny's encouraging nod. "When is it?" "Sunday. We're having cake." Sunday. The day I'd planned to spend alone, processing the week's emotional upheaval. "I'll be there," I said. I stood in my therapist Melissa's office, pacing between the familiar chairs where I'd spent countless hours unpacking 15 years of abandonment trauma. The restraining order hearing was tomorrow. Michael's birthday party for Lily was Sunday. My carefully constructed walls were cracking. "You're allowed to be angry and hopeful simultaneously," Melissa said. "Emotions aren't mutually exclusive." "But what if I'm making a mistake? What if Michael disappoints me again? What if he doesn't?" I stopped pacing. Through Melissa's window, I could see families walking through the park below. Normal people with normal problems, not legal documents and estranged parents and brothers who'd waited 15 years to apologize. "The recording device from the podcast," I said suddenly. "I kept it. I don't know why." "What does it represent to you?" "Proof, I guess, that I survived, that my story matters." I sat down finally. "Michael wants to record a message for our parents, not to reconcile, but to set boundaries. He wants to tell them exactly why he's choosing me and Lily over their manipulation." "How do you feel about that?" "Terrified, hopeful, angry that it took him 15 years. I laughed shakily. "Like maybe I'm not as alone as I thought." Melissa nodded. "You've built an extraordinary life from nothing, Emma. You've created success, established boundaries, and now you're choosing to risk connection again. That's not weakness. That's courage. What if they try to hurt Lily? Use her against us? Then you'll protect her the way no one protected you. That's what chosen family does." I thought about Lily's drawing, still taped to my refrigerator. 4 stick figures under a rainbow. A family she'd imagined before she'd even met me. "I want to be the aunt she deserves," I said. "Then be that person. The rest will follow." Outside, the families in the park continued their Sunday afternoon routines, and for the first time in 15 years, I imagined myself among them. Lily's birthday party had transformed into something larger, a family dinner where the family was chosen rather than inherited. I sat at Michael and Jenny's dining room table, watching Lily blow out 5 candles instead of 4, because Aunt Emma needs one too for her new birthday. "Make a wish," Lily commanded. I closed my eyes and wished for this moment to last, for the courage to keep building this fragile new connection. The restraining order had been granted that morning. My parents' attorney had argued for family reconciliation, but Judge Morrison had reviewed the evidence, the voicemails, the workplace harassment, the 15-year pattern of emotional abandonment, and sided with protection over blood relation. "They can petition to modify in 6 months," Marcus had explained afterward, "if they complete therapy and demonstrate genuine change." Michael cleared his throat. "Emma, I want you to know, Jenny and I have been talking about holidays, about Lily's school events, about being a real family." "What does that mean?" Jenny smiled. "It means you're invited to everything. Soccer games, school plays, Christmas morning, if you want that. We're putting Lily in therapy too. Michael added, to help her understand why she has grandparents she can't see right now, and why her Aunt Emma lived far away for so long. Lily looked up from her cake. Daddy said sometimes grown-ups make mistakes and have to fix them before they can be together again. That's right, sweetheart, I said. The letter I'd written to my parents sat sealed in my car, not the legal document Marcus had prepared, but something personal. My final attempt at explanation, should they ever demonstrate genuine change. For now, it would wait. Can I stay for Christmas? I asked. You better, Jenny said firmly. Lily's already planning your stocking. I looked around the table at these people who'd chosen me when biology had failed. Michael, carrying 15 years of guilt and growth. Jenny, opening her family to include my complicated history. Lily, drawing rainbows over stick figures and calling me aunt like it was the most natural thing in the world. This was what family looked like when you built it deliberately, with intention and boundaries and love. Outside, evening settled over the neighborhood, and I was exactly where I belonged,